a few different types of jobs for probably 3 or 4 years, and then I found an outside sales position with a company as an independent contractor. I was basically a commissioned employee, and worked at that for probably probably 15 years. Real well at it, had a great time, experienced things that a lot of people will never experience. Learned a lot about getting yourself going every morning, and basically the real world of working every day. Getting up without alarm clocks and enjoying the morning and looking at every day as a new challenge and a new adventure versus, oh, I got to get up and go to work. If you have to stress yourself about getting up and going to work, then you got to find something else to do, because you're going to be doing it for the rest of your life. So don't regret the mornings. Enjoy the mornings. So I sold independently. I was in the medical field for about 15 years. And then when I got married, life took another path. We bought a different type of business. At that time I bought a vending business, bulk vending, little gumballs you see in the racks, and little capsule toys, and set up a whole vending route, coin-operated amusements, vending machines, crane games, kiddie rides, all those things. And we set that up down in the Bay Area. And then we ran and operated that for probably 5 or 6 years. And then my son was born, and life took another path. Showed me a different opportunity. And then the next opportunity after that was I was always some sort of a sales position. I'm trying to remember exactly what I take it back. After we did after we had the vending business, then I opened up when my son was an infant. I opened up a preschool and daycare. So we had I had another building, and we turned that into a preschool/daycare center, and did that until my son went into first grade. So we did that operated that for 3 or 4 years. Then sold the property, and then that path led me to looking for where was a great school for my son, and that led me up to Roseville. So we moved up here to Roseville, and then through that path we found the pet store and decided to buy the pet store. So that's kind of a 25-year history right there, about 5 minutes. So that's where we did. But it was always we were always following where life was taking us. I don't think we ever looked up and said, okay, next year we're going to own a pet store, or when my son was born, oh, we're going to own a preschool. No, we just realized that every place I took my son to find a preschool for him, we didn't particularly care for, and it would mean that we were leaving him somewhere. And the whole idea of having kids is to nurture them and be with them. Otherwise, get a dog. It's much easier to take care of a dog, and you can walk him in the garage at night. But so when my son was born, that became our focus, is what was best for him, and that's how we ended up opening up our own preschool daycare center, because everything else we saw wasn't quite exactly what we wanted. So we did it ourselves.
What would you say that would be like the biggest struggle in the entire life?
Oh boy. The biggest struggle, I would say, from a business aspect of things, is always cash flow. It's always having enough money to expand the way you want to, without borrowing and going into considerable debt. Trying to manage your cash flow in the business. In other words, the money that comes in when people buy things, using that appropriately to buy new merchandise, to pay your staff, to pay your rent. And so cash flow is always a challenge. And then there's the emotional side of working in a family-operated business where you're working with your family all the time, and that's the personal, interpersonal relationships between husband and wife and child, and then the young staff people we have, which you almost treat as your children at my age. But so I would say cash flow is the biggest challenge. Having enough funding to keep everything operational and expanding. And then the second would be managing your interpersonal relationships when you're in a family-operated business.
Do you guys have any I don't know where it's any problems with the animals coming in?
No, running the pet store is, for us, it's, you know, it's really pretty standard. We have the same people we buy our animals from on a regular basis, so we know how, you know, the animals all come in healthy. If we ever have any concerns about their health, we'll rent that to the breeder. So we know the people that are animals, you know, that breed our animals, we know them, they're reputable people. So we don't ever get anything that comes in sick, or there might be an occasional thing or something, you know, dies inside the store, and that's just the circle of life. Pet in the pet store, that's, hopefully you get bought before you age out. You get too old to be in a pet store. But we don't know health of the animals. Never really any issues there. No.
Do you have any like regrets about in life or anything you feel have changed?
Great question. You'll always think about things and go back and say, if I knew then, take a weekend. It would be somebody that's independent, somebody that can make a decision and kind of be able to stand by this decision. That, you know, that shows up when they say they're going to show up. So if they're going to be here at 9, it's not 9:15 or 9:10. It's actually probably 10 to 9. You know, it's 8:50 when they get here. They have to have that level of competence, and I'd have to have that confidence that they can do that. And they'd have to be friendly. They'd have to be personal. They have to realize that it's more important to make the customer feel comfortable than it is to, you know, sweep the floor or to put merchandise away. That's a big part of it, and it can't be forgotten. But the person walking through the door has to be made comfortable, has to feel that they can spend as much time as they want to here looking around, and that they'll get somebody that's knowledgeable. I can teach people most things that they need to know as far as the product goes. They can get that from reading the boxes and watching what we do, but having them feel comfortable in working with other people and being, I can't teach them to be on time. They either are, that's either an important value to somebody or it's not. And if it's not an important value to be on time, then you need to, you know, find a job where nobody cares what time you show up. Independence, being able to make a decision and own your decision. You know, even if it turns out to be the wrong decision, you still made it. And will, you know, so have the strength to make a decision, stick with it, and somebody that's treats people properly. It's common.
As a business owner, what's the most rewarding part of your job?
Working with the public. Absolutely, working with the customers. When people come in and say, "Oh, I love your shop," that's all. I'm done for the day. That's great. I've reached my goal. When people keep coming back over and over again, not because I'm the cheapest place in town, but because they like the experience here, because they, for whatever reason, whatever we do here, people like. It's hard to put that in a training manual. It's hard to say this is why people come here. But when people leave here smiling, or they bring their kids in, or somebody's visiting from out of town and they bring them over to show them the little pet shop that still exists in this age of big box stores, and they have a good experience here. So that's the most rewarding part of it, is knowing that the customers keep coming in and that they're, you know, that they make a conscious decision to go here versus one of the big box stores like Petco, PetSmart in my industry. So working with the customers is the most rewarding part.
Do you want to ask any questions?
No, I don't think I have any questions.
I think it took a long.
We've had two silent guys here.
Yeah.
Oh, you asked the first one.
Usually.
So,
I already asked some questions.
no, okay. So that's it. Just really focus on trying a lot of things. Don't think that I really want to become a vet tech, so I'm going to spend the next 5 years doing everything related to animals. Yeah, you have to educate yourself. So if you say I want to be a vet tech, you can't just blow that off and just try out. But while you're studying, also try different things. Talk to other people, experience as much stuff as you can, and you might find that it wasn't a vet tech after all. It was actually an animal trainer that you ended up being, or who knows. But just try all sorts of different things.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you so much.